Welcome to the Creative Brew, helping you keep your creative juices brewing. We're giving out chunks of insight, motivation, and practicality for your creative journey. We've got some great partners with the Creative Brew. First of all, Panels Comics and Coffee Bar here in beautiful Oceanside, California, right off of Mission Avenue. They've got some of the hottest graphic novels and comics out right now. They also have a wide assortment of merchandise, toys, as well as back issue vintage comic books, and that I'm sure has some hidden gems in there. If you mention the Creative Brew, you'll get 10% off of your next purchase. You can also check them out on social media at Panels Coffee or go to panelscoffee.com. My next partner is Elevate Coffee Trading, and if you appreciate specialty coffee, enjoy outdoor adventure, and love helping elevate the lives of children around the world, then you're going to love Elevate Coffee Trading. Their mission is to extract hope through love, coffee, and adventures. There's free shipping in the United States, and every bag of coffee helps sponsor health and education for children in coffee-producing countries and in areas of need in the United States. You can use promo code ELEVATE21 on your next order, and you can follow their journey on social media at Elevate Coffee Trading, or you can visit online at elevatecoffeetrading.com, and let's start extracting hope together. Another partner of mine is Astropad, and if you're a digital creator like me and you constantly use your iPad Pro, you can actually use Astropad to change your graphics tablet into another professional graphics tablet, so you can use Photoshop, full versions of Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, all your favorite programs right on your iPad Pro or graphics tablet. This has been an awesome tool for me because I'm always having to do some fine-tuning, editing, repainting, recoloring on various design projects or working on logos. Astropad is a huge asset for me. For teachers and students and educators, they actually have a great deal going on right now. This is an annual subscription, so it's a subscription app, but it's been a huge tool for me, and I don't know what I would do without Astropad. So you can check them out at Astropad app or go to astropad.com. And my last sponsor is the KoboPod. KoboPod is a boutique video and audio production studio based in Oceanside, California. And if you're a podcaster, vlogger, content creator, you should really come by and check out the venue for yourself. Anytime that I bring in a guest, they're amazed by the setup, amazed by the quality, the production value. Like I said, I think the Creative Brew just went up a notch. I actually went up incredible levels partnering up with the KoboPod and been able to create, 4K video. Everything looks great. Even the photographer that we have on staff, I use a lot of their photography for branded assets for the Creative Brew, as well as the audio for my podcast and my radio show. So if you want to feel like booking your session, and maybe you're thinking about starting a podcast, or maybe heck, you want to just sit in one day. I'm doing a podcast, or I'm doing a show. Hey, come by, check it out. See the venue, see the setup, check out everybody. It's a great vibe here. But let's book your session today at kobopod.org. And another sponsor is Baba Coffee, that is here in here in Carlsbad, California. Great vibes, good coffee. I love the setup over there. They actually offer wine, coffee, dessert, food. I love the avocado toast over there. Check it out. That's one that I would recommend. And right now, they're actually every Sunday. And it's actually going on right now. Is they have live music and food trucks, I believe. So they'll have a chef there as well as live music. So come by, go by Baba Coffee, and they're there for a few hours. So they usually have some different entertainment every Sunday. So go by there, check it out. So I wanted to give a special shout out to my new sponsor for the show, Baba Coffee. And welcome to a new episode of the Creative Brew, giving you insights on your creative journey. Today we have a legend in the wrestling arena. U.S. Olympian. There's probably so many accolades I could probably put on there. 3-time All-American, U.S. Olympian. Was it Pan Am champ, well, uh, was it Fargo champ? I know we had all the accolades on there. Um, but like I said, he's been running his Ken Chertow summer camps for years now. So a lot of people in the wrestling community, I'm sure knows him. And you know what? Some of you may not know him. So now we get a chance to sort of talk a little bit about his story, talk about everything that he's got going on, talking wrestling, growth, life, nutrition, and everything in between. So, without further ado, I'll let Ken Chertow take it away, share his story, and we'll go on with the episode.
Hey, Quantal, thanks for having me on. I appreciate you introducing me to your audience and promoting our sport and getting some people thinking creatively and brewing up some good thoughts.
I like that. Well, tell a little bit about your story.
Oh, wow. Just my story. I don't know. I'm from West Virginia. Not too many guys get out of West Virginia and make it to Penn State, let alone the Olympics. So I was able to work very hard independently. Had a couple great training partners in high school who committed to the sport along with me. Real proud of that upbringing. I trained with two guys from age 12 through teenage years, and they won state titles the weight above and below me, Sam St. Clair and Bob Taylor. So cherishing those high school memories and winning the state championships with them is something special. And I was able to get out of West Virginia, go to Penn State, and be part of building something special there. It was very exciting times. My coach John Fritz was so inspirational in my development, and he was the NCAA champ at Penn State. And my senior year of high school, he had two NCAA champions, Carl DeStephanis and Scott Lynch. I saw them win, and I was like, I want to go to Penn State. And I was just really excited to be part of that and grow the program. And it's amazing what they're achieving now, the foundation over the years. And the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club, we started that. The Nittany Lion Wrestling Club started while I was a student at Penn State. I was the first Olympian from the Penn State Wrestling, from the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club. And there's only been three other ones since. I'm very proud to be part of the group with Kerry McCoy, Frank Molinaro, and now David Taylor. So although Penn State College wrestling is so excellent, it's very hard to get to the Olympics. And we four are the four Nittany Lion Wrestling Club representatives on the U.S. Olympic team.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So, uh, so even now, like I said, you obviously you've been able to succeed at some of the highest levels. How did you even? I mean, and like I said, I know for years I've seen the Ken Chertow camps. When did you actually start that? Like, where as far as, and I know everybody, especially now, everybody's promoting and marketing their camps and clinics, but how did it start, like from the beginning, and then obviously to where it is now?
Well, I like to think I'm a little bit of a pioneer, but I'd be pulling your leg if I didn't tell you I learned a lot from Doug Blueball, Russ Hellickson, John Fritz. I went to their camps. So when I started wrestling, got serious about wrestling in seventh grade, I went away to camp. I went to Doug Blueball Olympic champions camp. I mean, it's called Top of the World Camp. It's in Indiana, kind of about 8 hours west of West Virginia. And it was one of the few camps back in the day, but there weren't as many camps then. Now, as I and so many others have started to add camps, there's a lot of camp opportunities. I still strive to be the best, Quantel. And Doug taught me a lot about running camps and teaching wrestling and life. It was really awesome. Then I connected with Russ Hellickson, another Olympic medalist. And I later on, I got to coach with Russ Hellickson at Ohio State for 3 years. That was awesome in and of itself. But going to his camps was super. It was just really educational, inspirational. And then towards the end of my high school career, I went to John Fritz's Keystone Camp. That's what it was called. And I just, those guys were my camp mentors. Meanwhile, when I was 15 and my brother was 10, him and his friends were wrestling. I was teaching them. So I ran youth wrestling starting at age 15. I ran their kids club. My high school coach pretty much turned over the keys to me and let me run with that. So I've been coaching kids for a long time. And then when I got to college, I immediately started doing clinics and running day camps and just running all over. It was a lot of fun. So I worked as a counselor at camps, but I also had my own business during college, running day camps. And then as soon as I was a senior in college, the NCAA rules were the opposite then as they are now. Here we got this new surge with all this crazy stuff. But anyways, back in the day, they were really strict and you couldn't even put your name on an overnight camp until you graduated. So my senior year of college, I got it all lined up, made plans. As soon as I finished my NCAA eligibility, I promoted it and attracted over 100 children to my overnight camp the very first year doing it. and I've been growing ever since. I'm at Grew Camp for over 20 years, all over the country. Now my camp in Pennsylvania is just as big as ever and going strong, and that's my main foundation. But as you know, I run around the country doing clinics. That's a lot of fun too. But definitely my main base is near Penn State. I rent this huge convention center and with an attached courtyard by Marriott Hotel. And we wrestle, eat, sleep there. We live wrestling. We're engrossed in the culture of excellence in our sport for 2 weeks. It's just a super experience. Amazing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, talking about wrestling, and I know there's been a lot of upswing right now, even with the growth of women's wrestling and just other things. Really trying to promote and market the sport. I mean, where do you see I guess from a marketing aspect? Where do you see the sport now? Do you feel like there's still room to still other outlets where it can grow, or what do you think?
Oh, absolutely. We all have to grow our sport. We have to, you're working hard, I'm working hard, but thousands of people need to work hard together just to keep promoting our sport, inviting people to matches, inviting the news to cover our sport. So many coaches are just X's and O's. I mean, they want to coach wrestling, they want to teach it. The administration's a hassle. And then on top of that, reaching out to the local media, that's a pain in the butt. But we have to do it. We individual high school coaches, parents, boosters, youth coaches, it's got to be a worldwide growth so we can work hard globally, but ultimately it's got to be done locally and just keep building. Everybody's got to chip in and keep getting after it and keep reaching out for media coverage and attention for our great sport. It's the best kept secret in the world, and we here in the United States have just got to keep embracing and promoting. You talk about women's wrestling, that's exciting. We need to pile on. I've been coaching girls camps for over 20 years. It's kind of been a quiet secret, but now it's so exciting. It's booming. It's great. I'm happy to see the growth of my women's camp. It's kind of been stuck around 30, 40 girls over the years.
Mhm.
And then more recently, it's growing along with the growth of our sport. Very exciting times. And I'm very proud to be, promoting girls wrestling. My daughter is 25 and I got her wrestling when she was 5, 6 years old. So I've been coaching girls for over 20 years. My daughter's moved on to other paths and stuff. She didn't pursue wrestling as her main endeavor, but I've certainly been around it for a long time, and I love teaching girls, and they're a lot of fun. Helen Maroulis came to my camp not once but 3 times, and she stood out in the crowd. And she was the tough girl of the time, but she was wrestling the boys. She placed in the state. The last year she came to my camp, she was a place winner in the high school state tournament, and just obviously her career has just been amazing, and she's certainly a pioneer and a legend in our sport. And just so fun to see her excellence and continued achievement despite her challenges with concussions and stuff. She's still killing it.
Yeah, yeah. She is, yeah, definitely one of the top women's wrestlers in the country and the world right now. And the women's team, they have a really good team right
Yeah.
now. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting how that world team lines up, and as well as the men's team. Men's team is stacked too. It's just it's sort of weird. Definitely over the past couple of years, I really feel like U.S. wrestling has really jumped the level now as far as on the world stage from a freestyle standpoint. Why do you think that is? I mean, I know there's probably development and everything else. Why do you think that is?
Yeah. Well, to the girls, Coach Steiner has led the charge, and he's surrounded himself with good people. And USA Wrestling has gotten behind it. They've done well, and it's now finally growing into the high schools, and that's exciting. The future is very bright. I mean, we're going to catch the Japanese soon, sooner than later. And we already are on the brink of that, because we have so many women in our country that do sports and love sports, and we got to get the best athletes trying wrestling sooner. That would be a step in the right direction. But we got the ball rolling there. From a standpoint of the men, I mean, we've always been outstanding. The regional training centers are doing a great job of developing guys. Bill Zadek is certainly doing a good job of leading and organizing and connecting, with these different RTC coaches, whether it's the Penn State guys, the Ohio State guys, the Arizona State guys, the Iowa guys. I think Zadek is bridge the gap to keep things positively working together. And there's other clubs beyond that too, right? Penn, Nebraska, et cetera, all these different colleges. So that's been good. I don't know if it's great for college wrestling because it's eliminated the parity in our sport. Those teams I mentioned, along with Michigan and some others, they've kind of separated themselves from the rest of the pack.
Mhm.
They have an unfair advantage in that, but it's helping our Olympic movement. So that's that. I mean, ultimately, we're not going to separate ourselves from the world in Olympic style wrestling unless we were just freestyle all the time. I mean, we're wrestling folk style, and I think it's great. I think our system's fine, and our it's taking our guys to peak until their mid 20s rather than 2021 when they're focused on folk style. So
Hmm.
those guys like JB and Dake and David Taylor, they're all maturing later and having their best wrestling age 24 to 28 rather than in their young 20s like some of the Europeans and Russians.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's yeah, I think that's been a sort of a hotly discussed topic is if with collegiate wrestling maybe using some freestyle concepts and rules. It's and I've always been sort of a folk style fan, and just competing in that U.S. Open. I actually sort of like freestyle. I mean, it was pretty cool. I mean, I think once you start knowing the concepts and definitely a different pace, but yeah, you start to like it a little bit more the more you keep working in it.
And well, Quantel, getting off bottom at your age is a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
So therefore you love freestyle. I don't know if you're 35 or 40 or what you are, but yeah, so congratulations on placing in the veterans world in the veterans nationals. That's awesome. I hope you take it to the world level, man. Get after it. That's pretty fun. So I've been wrestling live with kids for since I retired, from competition a long time ago. I've never busted it out at the masters and veterans. So your success is inspirational to me, and I might have to dust off the competitive singlet for next year and get out there in the nationals. So I love wrestling. I've been competing. I don't really look at it as competition. I'm just practicing with the kids, but I wrestle live all the time. I'm still going strong and healthy and love it. But I just haven't formally got to the national open. I got to get. I was in Italy this year. That was my conflict. I earned this trip to Italy with my pure nutrition team the same week as the veterans national open. Are we calling it veterans or masters
Well,
now?
they're calling it. It's probably it's the same, but they're calling it the Masters now.
You're a master All American, not a veteran. A
Yeah,
veteran sounds kind of old, and I associate with the military. So we're changing the
yeah,
branding to masters.
yeah.
Yes, I'm a master. I like it. Um, so I think we should market that more too. I think a lot of men in their 30s, 40s, etc., uh, would do that if it was more promoted. Just in general, because I think it's not promoted aggressively. It's just kind of it's out there and not. It's just not like an afterthought. So you got to be really engrossed in wrestling to know that there's that opportunity out there. But I think it's cool, and obviously you had a fun experience with it. And you broke out. I guess you dusted off your gut wrench skills and enjoyed it. But I love freestyle. To me, wrestling's wrestling. I did. I did a lot of sports in elementary school, Quanto, a lot of the ball sports, different stuff, a little bit of wrestling, not a lot until seventh grade when I just committed to three sports. I just did three in junior high and high school. And those were folk style, freestyle, and Greco. So when I fell in love with wrestling, I decided to stop playing the ball sports. And it was an easy decision for me. I was 5'3", barely 100 pounds, right? So I'm going to focus on wrestling. Now, you might have played some football. I don't know what you did, but I just decided to quit all that other stuff and focus on my wrestling. So I've been a year-round wrestler since I was 12, and I'm 29 now. So for 17 years, I've been full-time wrestling, right?
Yeah.
So, but I've
Yeah,
been
no,
at it.
yeah, I did track, like track and cross country, while I was doing wrestling, and yeah, well, definitely, went out for the football team. I think my senior year, but I ended up sort of giving that up after sort of focusing more as far as getting ready for college, collegiate wrestling. But yeah, I mean, I've always loved track and other sports. I know just away from wrestling, I've always loved basketball, volleyball. I'm one of those where I love doing all kind of little sports and stuff like that. So I've always been one of those kind of athletes there. But yeah, uh, definitely. I think you just brought up a great point, because this is what I've been saying, especially even from the grassroots kids level growing up. You see a lot of kids now really focusing on, they're just straight wrestling all the time. Do you feel like that's good or bad? I mean, by the time they get to a certain level, because they've wrestled so many matches, and by the time they get to high school, sometimes you get that, sometimes that where they could possibly burn out and just give up the sport completely. Um, what do you feel about that?
Well, there's a lot of different items there. I think number one, you got to keep it fun. As parents and coaches, we have to keep it fun, whether they're 8, 18, or college. You got to enjoy what you do. You got to be creative in the workouts. Don't compete too much. Find the balance. I think in elementary school, you're trying different sports. No way should you be only wrestling in elementary school. You should be doing different things. You can practice wrestling 9, 10, 11 months out of the year if you want to, but you got to try some other stuff, be involved in other activities, enjoy it. Practice and development of skills and fitness, calisthenics, agility is more important than competing. Parents push kids to compete too much in elementary school. It's just not necessary. I mean, it's necessary to compete, but not as much as the hardcores do. You want to save that, really focus on competition for that 14 to 17 age group. Do that extra, more competition at that age, so you really hone your skills and perfect your competition level abilities as you get ready for college. And then in college and beyond, you don't need to compete that much. I mean, the guys that are professional fighters, boxing, MMA, they don't do 30, 40 fights a year. But we make guys, we got parents having kids compete 100 matches a year. So
Yeah.
you got to find the right balance there and keep it fun, keep it interesting. And then every individual is different. I mean, if you want to specialize in junior high and high school and just wrestle all the time, God bless you. But if there's no need to do the other sports, if you just want to do that, but if you still enjoy the other sports, you want to mix it up, you could do it. But if you really want to reach your very full potential in wrestling, you at some point you're going to choose to specialize, but it's got to be the wrestler's decision. It should not be the parents' decision or the coach's decision. They really got to come from the heart, because ultimately you could do other sports, especially 12 to 15. Towards the end of high school, you got to start thinking about what you're really good at. It is okay to play football or soccer in the fall, but really, if you're going to reach your full potential and earn a college scholarship, you need to be wrestling November through spring and summer. So that leaves a fall sport if you choose to, cross country, soccer, football. But to think you're going to play high school wrestling and baseball and reach your full potential, not real, not practical.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I think that's I just want to ask that question because I know, you have a lot of kids and a lot of parents that, they push their, honestly, they push their student towards, specific sports, and sometimes they sort of live vicariously through them. And sometimes that can go, to a negative degree, because then by that time, once it starts turning into a job, then that's where the fun is gone. And then, a lot of those kids, they'll figure out ways of quitting quitting that sport, because it's not something they even love anymore. So yeah, I definitely think there needs to be a balance. I think there's a lot of little, even from a middle school, high school, and even college. I mean, I think that's what even with Kel Sanderson, he's doing a great job keeping it fun and fresh. Even with those the high level kids in college. I mean, with the crew that he's got, he's keeping it fun, he's keeping it interesting, keeping it creative. And I think that's what a lot of coaches need to be doing now. I think he has a lot of different concepts that I enjoy that really can be applied to any wrestling room, MMA gym, any kind of sporting any kind of sport, is figuring out ways of keeping it fun, keeping it interactive, keeping kids engaged, and especially from that capacity. But it's it can be tough. You want to specialize, you want the best for your kid, but at the same time too, they've got to want it. You can't sit there and take them to practice every day and trying to push them when if they don't love it, then it's going to show sooner or later. So coming back around, I sort of noticed, and you talked a little bit about pure nutrition, and I know you've had some transformations yourself, going from how many pounds did you say you lost through pure nutrition?
Just the past 6 months alone, I've lost over 20 pounds.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Getting ripped.
I see.
Hey, I heard you were cutting down for the National Open, so I wanted to make sure I got down under you. I'm ducking you. Yeah, I've embraced nutrition. I've had some challenges. I had double hip replacement surgery over a decade ago, and all my life I'm so active, and then I had to really limit myself and be careful in my eating habits. I was able to eat all I wanted for a long time, But then, your metabolism slows 30s and 40s, and between the hips replacement and stuff, and my lifestyle changed a little bit. So I got heavy. So I got fat in my 40s. But now I've really embraced good fitness, good health. And like you mentioned, my company's actually called Pure, and I partnered with David Taylor. David Taylor is the guy that got me into Pure Nutrition, and it's great products. They're powerful, both for us old dudes as well as our teenage and college athletes. And they've worked for David. David's killing it. David is embraced Pure Nutrition, and he's really transformed his body. Like, he's always been the magic man. He's always been a great wrestler. He's been in my camps as a kid growing up a lot. And he was just obviously stood out in the crowd. He's magical, right? Yeah. But when he started putting muscle on his body and really honing in on his nutrition, both his strength and his endurance peaked as he grew from lightweight into 184 world champion, Olympic champion. So it's pretty cool to be partnered with David. It's exciting to see his success, and it's just great product. So I'm going strong in my 50s, still wrestling the kids full time, and keep taking care of myself. So I've got to make sure nobody gets to my hips and twists me like a pretzel. So I'm very sharp to stay in good shape.
That's great. That's great. So have you noticed, I mean, I know, sometimes, our health and energy can really be reflective of, even from a business aspect. Have you noticed, like, with you having more, vitality, really focusing on your nutrition and everything, have you noticed like a difference with your camps and clinics and how much you were really getting out there as opposed to, maybe when you were a little bit heavier and, the energy level wasn't there?
Well, I like to think that I was the most nimble, fat clinician around. I mean, I was inspired by Gene Mills, one of my mentors, and Randy Lewis, who's even bigger than us. And I was moving good. I don't know. I have energy. I like it. I definitely have more energy and more mental focus when I feel good, when I'm eating clean, when I'm taking good care of myself. When I was eating too much junk food and not exercising quite as much, maybe I didn't feel quite as good. But when it comes time to camp time, that's what I live, right? My life's work's coaching wrestling. So I was going strong. My belly was just bigger. Now my belly's smaller. I move better. I like it. It's more fun. But I would always give my best regardless of weight class. So no matter what weight class I'm in, I'm going to be busting it out at camp and teaching and wrestling and loving it. But I definitely feel better. And you mentioned specifically the vitality. Yeah, certainly I feel better at a lower body fat percentage and with less belly to carry around. Yeah, I mean, if I have a choice between a 20-pound bowling ball and a 5-pound bowling ball, I'm going to take that 5-pound bowling ball in my belly. So I still got a little one right there, but it's definitely shriveled up. I'm getting close to fighting weight.
Nice. So tell me a little bit about the Ken Chertow the summer camps that's going on. That's the big camp that you usually promote even throughout the year. Tell our audience a little bit about that.
All right. Well, as you know, so I met you, Quantel, through Win Magazine with Brian Van Clay and Win. And, I love Win Magazine. It's our best national publication. And through that, I advertise my camps, promote our camps. And as a graphic designer, you're somewhat familiar with what I do. So I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share a little bit. So it's a little different. You didn't put it on paper. It's pretty straightforward. It's June 26th through July 10th. It's at the Blair County Convention Center, just south of Penn State. There's 4 to 15-day options. Kids fly in from all over the country. We pick up many dozens of kids at the airport. It's an awesome situation. I surround the kids. It's not just me teaching 100 plus kids at one time. We break into groups. I bring in some awesome clinicians. A lot of the guys that grew up coming to my camps, I'm real proud to bring in people that I train. So as you know, we use Zane Rutherford's in those Win Magazine ads. Zane isn't just an occasional camper. He grew up in my kids' club, like hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of workouts in my local club. He'd drive an hour each way and then come to summer camps all summer. So I've trained, I'm going to pull this a little closer here. So Zane's trained with me since he was a young stud. But then there's others like Mitchell Port, 3-time NCAA American, 2-time finalist. His training partner in my club was AJ Shop. AJ's at Purdue now coaching. Mitchell's at WVU now coaching. Those guys were NCAA Americans, not once, twice, but 3 times in college. Very proud of those guys. Matt Coker was an All-American at Pitt. Another guy, all 4 of those guys grew up in my kids club. James Jonashanis, he was one of my late bloomers. He was elementary school kids club, kept plugging away, finally placed in the state towards the end of high school. And then he blossomed in college and became an NCAA American for Penn State. He's a chiropractor now. But just off the top of my head, those 6 guys, they're entrenched in my camp. They're there helping kids. Many of them, Coker has children, and Yonashanas have children involved, which
Mhm.
is really cool when past students bring their kids to my camp. Ty Morgan, he didn't grow up in State College with me. He grew up in Ohio, but Ty brings his daughter to my camp. Ty is I'm close with Ty. He's my pure. He got me and David and Ty got me involved in pure nutrition. So Ty Morgan was an NCAA qualifier, 3-time Ohio State champion. But it's cool to bring back past campers. And another past camper comes to mind is Zane Stickle. When I was coaching at Ohio State, he was in my kids club. So he's not much younger than me. He's like 7 years younger than me. And his daughter's coming to camp with him, and he's going to be coaching a camp. And he served in the Navy after graduating from the Naval Academy. So it's just really neat to have past students of mine come to my camp teaching wrestling, and in many cases bringing their kids now. That's something a little different than in the past years. But I surround our wrestlers with the very best coaches possible. Now I hire over 30 coaches. So if there's a couple hundred kids there at one time, there's a coach for less than every 10 kids. So like 8-to-1 ratio. It's a really nice setup. We have 12 mats. We sleep, eat, and wrestle right there. Like I mentioned earlier, the hotel is attached to the convention center. So I've got an amazing situation, and I just welcome people coming and working with kids. It's pretty cool to see kids grow up, coming to my camps annually, and blossom into high school success and ultimately earning college scholarships.
That's great. That's great. So, and then the best way for perhaps people that's interested in the camp, go to your website.
Yeah, it's simple. Just my name, Ken Chertow. Got on the shirt, the Chertow part, kenchertow.com. And that's where all the camp information is. It's laid out. You just hit summer camps, and there's tons of buttons to read up on the details. And there's a video room to see some videos. And you can get to my nutrition site through that also. There's a tab to hit for nutrition, and you go learn about Pure. There's all sorts of information on my site.
Great, great. So right now, I mean, what things, obviously you're, you're always going. I know we talk constantly, and you're always going from, place to place, sharing your knowledge and wisdom. Um, right now, I mean, what things are inspiring you right now?
What's inspiring me is getting ready for the summer camp we just described. It's a work in progress, right? To get all those coaches organized, to get the schedule lined up, to make the accommodations, to get all the enrollment and all the parent questions. So it's pretty cool. The repeat campers, that's simple because they know what's going on, they enroll. But every new parent wants to talk to you, wants to learn a little bit, has some basic questions before they ship their kid off. A lot of logistics involved. My girlfriend Beth is very involved. She is our camp administrator, so I'm spoiled. She handles a lot of those logistics, but we're in the trenches together, handling that ourselves. We don't have some big office, a bunch of people. It's me and her making sure everything's set up. You see in the background here a little beach picture. So
Yeah.
we are renting a small place near the beach, and we have an office right here, and we get a little bit of free time in the sun, but we also are working our tail off getting ready for camp. I have a clinic in a couple days, about an hour from here in Jacksonville. I'm setting up a clinic tour. We're going to drive from here through to Nebraska. It's a diagonal northwest. Go to visit some of her family in Nebraska where her children are, and then we're going to drive east across I-80 and I-70, hit some other clinics en route. And I'm still planning that. I mean, anybody that wants to host a day clinic or 2-day clinic can contact me, and I want to set up along that path. That's going to be basically from Memorial Day to mid-June, the third week of June, and we make our way to Penn State. So that's the camp starts. The summer camp, the big one, the overnight camp starts Sunday, June 26th at the Blair Convention Center. And in the month leading up to that, I'm gonna run around the country and do clinics. So that's what's on my mind right now. That's what keeps me moving, and I'm looking forward to that. And it's a lot of fun.
How much coffee do you need to keep yourself going like this?
Well, this is the brew, so the coffee can come in handy. But right, I'm pure. So I really don't drink too much coffee, actually. I like it. I use it sometimes.
Yeah.
But the pure energy drinks are really good for the mental focus. And this morning, I'm just running on one, though, Quantal. I've got my workout in about an hour ago and just wrapped up and showered up, get prettied up. If that can do that, it's probably impossible for me. But I'm ready to go. Hey, if we're promoting our sport, this is my first time on your show, and I've heard about it. I've seen some of the shows, and we got to be brewed up, ready to go, and be thinking creatively and positively. And, I'm ready to go. But yeah, I drink plenty of pure energy drinks throughout the day.
Nice, nice. So right now, I mean, what are some creative tips for our audience? Or tip or tips? It's completely up to you. That you can provide for our audience.
Well, I'm not sure exactly who the audience is, but from a wrestling community standpoint, we hit on a lot of good ones as far as keeping it fun, keeping it interesting, variety in practice. I touched on very briefly. Don't over compete. I think the fitness is really important. Strength training for me, when I got to teenage years, I embraced year-round strength training and fitness. So I wasn't naturally gifted. In elementary school, I was okay athlete, but nothing special. When I started strength training consistently, doing my calisthenics, doing my weight training as a teenager, eating clean and healthy. So I've been eating clean and healthy for all these years, but supplementation wasn't prevalent then. Now we're spoiled. We have all these high level supplements. So learning about that has been something I've taken the time to do. I'm a science major at Penn State. I had nutrition minor. I mean, I'm in gross nutrition full time, and now things keep evolving, right? And there's so many different options. You got to be tuned into that, and you got to make sure you're making the right decisions there. So from a camp standpoint, I really try to be creative in bringing in different people, having variety, having different personalities, having different people that will connect with you. And as a business owner, whether it's wrestling or anything else, you don't want to have everybody being a cookie cutter. You want to have different people from different walks of life, and they bring in their best things, and then you collectively work together to find what's going to work for you. You got to have a creative brew. Well, there's no cookie cutter formula that's going to make the best wrestler, right? Does Jordan Burroughs wrestle anything like Kyle Dake? Does Kyle Dake wrestle anything like David Taylor? I mean, they're all different. There's all different ways to be great. And as a wrestling camp coordinator, I'm not going to say, okay, this is the way you have to be. This is not that way at all. Everybody's got different body types, different personalities, different athletic strengths, right? Some guys just straight up aren't going to be great on their feet. Like, well, I'll pick on AJ Shop, not the greatest athlete in the world. Or I can pick on your new coach, Kyle Rochelle, grew up coming to my camps. He's the coach at your alma mater, UTC.
Yeah.
I didn't look at Kyle Rochelle growing up and say, wow, that guy's going to be great. But you know what? I taught him a good slide by. He would tell you that too. And he has lots of other moves too, obviously. But he perfected his style by the end of high school, become a dominant high school wrestler. Very few kids get out of Kentucky and make a big name for themselves. But Kyle got to Division I, got to Wisconsin, became an All-American twice, I think. Not sure, but I think two-time All-American. You might know. But awesome that he had excelled at the highest levels because he perfected his style. And him and AJ Shopper are just two good examples of skinny guys that weren't the most powerful or great on their feet, but man, they had some moves that worked for them, and they got great on top and great at countering and scrambling. And just everybody's gonna be different. So you gotta be creative. You gotta figure out what style is gonna work for you. Anybody can wrestle. Remember the old poster with my Olympic teammates Tim Vanny and Bruce Baumgartner?
Yeah.
Anybody can wrestle. Don't matter if you're a little dude like Timmy or a giant like Bruce Baumgartner. You can find the moves and the style and the tempo that works for you. You asked me a real specific question about creative tips that gets my wheels churning on that era. I asked Dave Schultz. I said this to Dave Schultz. I said, Dave, what are you thinking out there when you wrestle? He's so calm and focused. He goes, Chertow, I'm just looking to dictate the tempo and control the ties. And that's about how he talks. He kind of calm demeanor. I'm looking to dictate the tempo and control the ties. So if you wrestlers want some tips out there, those are some tips from the master, David Schultz. And they're really, if you think about it, that's what you got to do. Look at JB. He dictates that tempo. He's body faking. He's keeping guys off balance. He controls that tempo. And then he does not let opponents control ties on him. He clears those ties when they try, keeps that space that he wants. Other guys look to control the ties. That's what most guys do, right? They can't just shoot doubles like JB. So they have to control the ties they want. Whether it's a collar tie for an ankle pick like David Taylor or an underhook like Kyle Dake or whatever it's going to be, they control the ties they want. So those are your tips. Dictate the tempo, control the ties. Thank you, Dave Schultz, legend, icon.
Yep,
friend.
great Dave Schultz. Hey, yeah, those are some great tips. That'd be. I think you can always apply those to anyone. As far as in any from a business standpoint, entrepreneurial, even from a wrestling standpoint, is dictate your pace. Like I said, control the tie. I mean, those are things that concepts that you can definitely apply to any stage for anyone that's listening to this. And then right now, what are some potential projects that you're brewing on? Things that's coming up down the way. Obviously, you got the big camps coming up. Is there anything else that you're thinking about working on, that maybe it's in the works right now?
We've kind of touched on the nutrition part. I mean, my Pure company has exploded with David Taylor behind it and everything. We have a great thing going, and people are constantly communicating with me, and I'm working to organize that system with videos and get them educated and working collectively with Ty Morgan and getting that ball rolling. From a TV standpoint, I'm always looking to grow our sport, get more wrestling on television. The Pac-12, I've been involved with them for a decade. Me and Anthony Robles partner on that. For the Pac-12 television work, we want to see them broadcasting more. I'd like to get more Big Ten opportunities. They kind of went with the old Iowa public television guys, and they have a great Big Ten keeps growing. I would love to do more of that. I still do some of that, but I would like to do more of that and see even more, see that growth happen. Get the ACC Sports Network going. Just continue to do that. I want to see girls wrestling grow and help this NCAA push to get more Division I wrestling teams. I mean, my alma mater is going to need to step up right away before Iowa runs away with the girls program. Yeah. So those are some things that excite me and get me fired up. Me and my girlfriend Beth, we've been together a couple of years now. We're starting to do new things because our kids are in their 20s and stuff. We're figuring out where we want to be. So I've been living in Pennsylvania full time for 20 plus years. Now we're bouncing around. We're living at the beach for now. So I don't think this is the long-term solution or anything, but it's a short-term thing. So personally, Beth and I got to figure out where we're going to land. Are we going to land in California, in Southern Cal with you? San Diego. Wow, that's pretty good. We're going to go Midwest, Iowa, Nebraska, or back to Pennsylvania, all sorts of options. So right now we're traveling around doing clinics and checking out the country while I teach wrestling. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Yeah, you come out here to Southern California, I'll be sure to dump you in this cold water we got.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I think that's just part of the creative journey. I mean, that's just, I think we're always sort of constantly sort of redefining, like what it's like to be at a certain age, like what's success, what is stability, hey, you may end up, staying somewhere, you may end up staying in California. Who knows? You just don't know. And I think that's the exciting part is sharing that journey with someone that you care about and make it work. Figure out ways to make it work to fit your needs. So yeah, that's awesome. And then before we sign off, what are some words of wisdom that you can share with our audience? Maybe someone that may listen to this a year from now, or maybe someone sort of catches wind about Ken Chertow and they happen to see this episode. What are some words of wisdom that you can give to our audience?
Well, I think mindset controls everything. You have to have a consistent positive perspective. Even when things don't go well or you fall short or something doesn't go your way, you have to continue to think positively. You have to believe in yourself. Just like, it's Mother's Day, there's this saying about moms have to believe in you before you can believe in yourself. So I had supportive parents believe in me so that I can believe in myself. So no matter what happens, things will go good. So our society is in such a challenge lately with the COVID and all this other crazy stuff and people being down and lazy. And we got to bang through it, stay positively, stay focused, pursue your goals, make the most of every day. Don't be distracted by other outside problems and issues. Just what I said in a nutshell, think positively and believe in yourself. Mindset controls your will for success, whether it's wrestling, entrepreneurship, or anything else. The strength comes from your mind. It starts there.
That's great. That's great. And then how can people reach out to you for summer camps, for speaking engagements, for broadcasting opportunities? What's the best way to reach out to you?
So anybody can learn about what I do at kenchertow.com. I'm easy to reach to by email, camps with an S at kenchertow.com. So camps at kenchertow.com, come straight to me. If you want to write our phone number down, you're welcome to text or call me. My personal phone number, I deal with everything. Me and Beth handle everything directly. My number is 814-883-1193. So anybody who wants to contact me at 814-883-1193, you can just reach out, text, set up a call, because I don't pick it up. So much cold calling, right? You got to text first and then let me know what's going on. Be glad to help anybody, whether it's wrestling, nutrition, or anything else. I'm available to help and easy to reach out to and contact.
That's great. That's great. So, hey, first of all, thank you for jumping on. I know you've been a legend. I'm gonna call you a legend in our sport. And thank you for the opportunity to sort of share your knowledge, your wisdom, your journey, and really promoting the sport of wrestling, and really creating consistency. Sometimes what happens is what I tell a lot of our athletes is, you know, we get into that sport, maybe even with wrestling, we get into the sport of wrestling, and then after we get done with it, that's it. And what you and others have been able to do is use that platform for the next stage of your life. So using that platform of wrestling to be able to generate businesses, generate opportunities, generate other things that's going to help you to the next stage of your life. So, like I said, I'm appreciative for you coming on here. Very grateful, and yeah, this is like I said, been another awesome episode.
Yeah. So coming back at you on what you said, wrestling truly does train you for life. And I'm a unique niche. I get to build my life around wrestling, but ultimately my goal is to teach our wrestlers how to succeed in life and use the lessons that wrestling teaches as training for life, like you're doing as a creative designer and podcaster. Kudos to you and thank you for having me. And our connection through the Win magazine and the graphic design skills you bring to the table are incredible. I'm grateful that you're able to provide that platform to the wrestling community and far beyond with what you're doing with your graphic design skills and energy, and knowledge. So I appreciate that. And you're just a good example right there of applying the wrestling skills to life in a broader spectrum. I'm fortunate. I get to just coach some wrestling and do some TV wrestling, right? But you got to actually apply those real world skills. So congratulations and thanks for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. It's fun.
Appreciate it. Hey, and then if anyone is interested in, obviously this show will be releasing here in the next week or so. This will be available on our podcast platforms, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, and then it'll be on radio on heliumradio.com, based out of Florida. So it will be on internet radio. You can check when you go to heliumradio.com, look up the life improvement segment, and this will be available on Tuesday at 11, actually at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So that, and like I said, when this show releases. But yeah, it's on heliumradio.com, and the Creative Brew is on there every Tuesday. And then also too, this video will be available on my YouTube page, full video on my YouTube page at Quantel Langford. So if anyone wants to search for that, the video will be up on there, and then segments will be between LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. It'll be shared out everywhere. But other than that, hey, thank you, Ken, for being on the show. And once again, be creative, stay inspired.
Thanks, everybody.